So welcome back to the Installer Arena here, sponsored by Glowworm. And I've been joined by a product manager from Testo, Jon Bawden. Jon, good afternoon and welcome.
Thank you very much.
We were just talking there before we went live. You've been to every one of these since 2015. And it's funny now because actually each year that goes by, everyone's been to every one of them. Whereas the first couple is like, well, this is my first one. What's your impression of this one now compared to, say, 2015, which is the one walking through the tunnel where you got a carrier bag?
Yeah, I mean, the whole exhibition really has evolved over these years, and it's fantastic, particularly this year. But you've got not just, dare I say, the traditional heating industry, but you've got your renewables, you've got the heat pump guys, we've seen the guys to do with ventilation and indoor air quality. It's just fantastic that we've really got all the industries coming together for the first time. It's such a big show.
Bathrooms, we've
Bathrooms,
got EV
don't want to forget them.
charging.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
It's just grown hugely. And how's it been for you today so far?
I can't remember a show where we've been so busy
Really?
for the first day. First day is obviously always the prime one. You hope for the big footfall, but it's been absolutely knockout for Testo. We've had, at times, queues around the stand this year. Dare I say it, we probably could have done with a few more people on the stand from a perspective of manning it.
From your point of view.
Yeah, absolutely, but absolutely knockout. Can't ask for more.
Brilliant. Now, you've been with Testo for 12 years, I think I'm right in saying. And we're going to talk about the latest in smart measuring technology, plus the rise of heat pumps in the industry, which is what topic we've been talking about a lot today, and the products that you offer to aid installers. But actually, it's a big year for Testo as well, isn't it?
Absolutely right. So for us in the UK at Testo, this is our 40th year, our 40th birthday, so a real milestone for us. Overall, Testo as a group, I believe in Germany, this is now something like the 67th year. But
really?
Obviously for us in the UK, 40th year, big milestone.
So you've got some good experience behind you, some good foundations and so on. Let me ask you, smart instruments, how are smart instruments changing the way service engineers work and interact with their measuring instruments?
Yeah, it's a good question. Obviously, if I think of my time in instrumentation and measurement, traditionally instruments were designed around having some sort of screen and keyboard on them. And from that aspect, people were having to very manually record readings. The readings would be written down either in some sort of paper certificate. And what we're seeing with smart instruments is a movement away from an instrument that has a dedicated screen. We're all carrying around the best sort of screen you're ever going to get with a smartphone or a tablet now. So what we're seeing is more and more devices that don't have their own screen. They don't even have, in a lot of cases, have their own keyboards. What you're having is a device that talks to a tablet or a smartphone, typically via Bluetooth, could be Wi-Fi. The benefits of that are you suddenly get a much better user interface because you've got the screen, depending on the size of the tablet.
Yeah.
You can have multiple devices, often connected to one tablet. So you can bring lots of measurements together, lots of reporting together. And the other really big challenge with moving towards smart measurements is this move away from handwritten results. It's having instruments that digitally timestamp, date stamp the measurements within a report, and then it's digital reporting to your client.
Brilliant. And you will come on smart technology and so on. Testo have been providing test and measurement products to heat pump engineers for over, 15 years or so. And so with the move to decarbonise the UK heating market and the rise in heat pump installs, you already have a great track record with helping in this sector. But how do you think smart products, such as digital manifolds and smart probes and so on, are leading the way? Where are you in that?
I think it will be interesting, particularly with the heat pump market, because you've got, although if you look at the traditional refrigeration and air conditioning market, you've got guys there who have had 20, 30 years of experience working with either analog manifolds or digital. What we've got with the heating market is quite challenging. We've got people who have been working with flue gas analysers now looking at getting into F-gas and heat pumps, and they're coming to a digital manifold for the first time. They won't have the experience from a refrigeration or air conditioning background. So it's having a smart digital device that eases that transition for them. When they pick the instrument up, it's going to be easier for them to learn, easier for them to understand, easier for them to get the correct measurements that they need to record and document. So the big challenge for us with the movement into the heat pump market in the UK is guiding people who, for the first time, are going to be looking for a manifold type device and getting them into a digital manifold in a very, very smooth transition. And that's where smarter instruments come in.
Right, okay. Now, heat pump installs are often paired with underfloor heating systems, UFH. So one of the ways to only really understand what's happening from a heat perspective is thermal imaging camera technology. So tell us a little bit about Testo and the technology you've got and how this provides the application, if you like, for the wider aspect of the insulation quality.
You're absolutely right. Again, one of the challenges with heat pumps is going to be making sure that the install is technically correct. With a heat pump install that's done badly, dare I say it, because a lot of the pipe work from the underfloor heating perspective can be buried under screed, you can get away with thinking that you could do a bad install and then nobody's going to know about it.
Well, apart from the customer.
Apart from the customer who suddenly he's got a heating system that's not performing. Yeah. But the benefit of looking at the thermal imaging technology is, as an installer, you can use that as part of your validation or proof of install.
Okay.
And it's the only technology, if you think about it, once you've got pipework buried underneath screed, the only way that you can visualize that and see what's happening from a temperature perspective is a thermal imaging camera. Right. So it's this ability to actually see pipework, understand from a perspective, has the system been laid correctly, the installation, has that all been optimized? And then hopefully, if your heat pump's been installed with the correct underfloor heating system, you're going to get good performance. But this, thermal imaging is a technology which again is starting to really, I think, impact the heating industry. Certainly when I first joined Testo, it was a very expensive measurement type device.
And is that coming down?
It is, yeah. I mean, when I first joined Testo, a entry level camera, you'd be talking about £3,000 to £3,500. We've now got cameras down well below £1,000. So it's become accessible for a lot more people.
And on your stand, what sort of discussions are you having today? What are the main points of discussion people are coming to you?
Yeah, it's been interesting. I've been sort of moving around. We've got different zones on the stand. So we've got a traditional sort of boiler zone, we've got a heat pump zone, thermal imaging zone. And speaking to a lot of the people coming, what they're looking to try and find out is, how can I make my measurements faster, smarter? How can I make my actual workflow easier? And this is hopefully where things like the smart measurement really helps them, the digital documentation. From the thermal imaging perspective, it's quite interesting because we always get people come to us who they've seen the thermal images in pictures and it's like, how does that technology really work? And we've got a great little sort of demo set up where we can show, so you can actually see like a heat mat that's buried behind some tiling.
Right.
But it's just really, how does this thermal imaging technology work and how can it aid me in my normal job?
Because it should be a great tool, shouldn't it, really, and actually enable them to do a proper job.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And other than that, what are the latest products that installers should know about, do you think?
I think the other thing that we're trying to also promote is there's a lot of movement in the ventilation and indoor air quality world. You know, we're seeing more and more companies and more individuals interested in making sure that the ventilation in properties is correct. We're seeing the MVHR type systems going into houses. So we're seeing quite a wide increase in interest in the airflow type measurement devices as well.